Yeah, thank you, Breezy. In terms of myself, we already mentioned it. My name is Ramli John. I currently work at Appcues. I was a product lead before as director of training, helping out different companies with their introduce product led motion to their company. I wrote a whole book around product led onboarding. So if there's a topic that's near and dear to my heart, is all about onboarding and product adoption. I've been thinking a lot about our team. I started thinking a lot about how to figure out how to introduce the sales team through the user onboarding process. It's funny, I wrote a book about product led onboarding, but I tell people that product led onboarding, like pure product led onboarding or self serve onboarding, is actually not the best in terms of conversion. The best ones are actually doing a hybrid approach where sales intervenes at some point, and finding that sweet spot is really the most critical. And trying to figure out if the sales team approaches it too early, if somebody who's free trial, people get annoyed, so they run away, or they get not just scared, but they're super upset that they complain online. Or if it's too late, the sales team's approach too late, then um, they've already bounced out and haven't gotten a chance to really experience the product's value. We've been experimenting a lot about that in Appcues, and our data team has found, actually, interestingly enough, they've been experimenting around when the best time, the best delay for sales to reach out, and they looked at different approach for people who sign up for a day. Do they close after the sales team reaches out to them in an hour or a day or 2 days? We found actually the conversion rate and even the reply rate to our sales team is the best when they wait 4 days exactly, which is interestingly enough because it goes against common practice of like, as soon as somebody signs up, make sure to reach out, call that phone number, and just jump on that call. But there are certain users who are not very happy with that. Certain people, I am one of them, especially if I sign up for a free account and I put in a number. I usually put in a fake number because I expect somebody to reach out to me within a minute of signing up, where I haven't even gotten a chance to like play around with the product yet. And sometimes waiting a little bit for them to see the value, and having in-app guidance, or those emails, those automated emails, is very, very helpful to get people on before somebody actually reaches out. Need a time to value. Yeah, that's true. So I'm happy to chat about that or onboarding or anything like that.
Yeah, Ramli, tell me about sort of like I guess like maybe it's intuitive for sort of how it came up to run that project, but then what are some of the things that you were looking into to help determine when the best time to reach out was? What teams were involved? What did that project basically look like internally for you all?
Yeah, it was our chief revenue officer who like figure out like when is the best time for sales. They were like really trying to improve our efficiency, the sales efficiency. And then we recently hired somebody from with a data background, and what they did is they did it by they they got all the calls from Salesforce, figure out how many days the sales reached out to those leads, those free accounts, and then figure out the conversion rate for each of those different cohorts by days. And they found that day four had the highest conversion rate, and it might evolve over time, but it's something that now we're looking and tracking into, making sure that what asking ourselves really the question like when is the best time to sell. What metrics should we be tracking in terms of that? Is it, should we optimize for conversion rate? Should we optimize for reply rate? Should we optimize for something else to really get them to help out with that?
Yeah. Awesome. Looks like we have a question here from Jarrell. Do you want to ask it live?
Yeah,
I like people on the spot.
Sure, I can come off mute. I was curious if you did any analysis comparing the time to reach out, optimal time to reach out when comparing like enterprise versus SMB. I know we have like there's a lot of discussion in our company about those different motions.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that 4 days was more for the SMBs. Those are sub 200, sub 100 employees, essentially. Enterprise would be a totally different ballpark. We haven't had enough enterprise sign up through free accounts as much, so that it's something that we don't have enough data to like, hey, it's 4 days, so it's what is that called? statistically significant to say that this is within a few days. A lot of enterprise deals have been through outbound or through referrals from other ones right now. So that's something that is actually a really good question and should be segmented for that experience as well.
Yeah, go ahead. See, we have a hand raise.
From Luis.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Am wondering about any qualitative feedback around that. Completely understand the analytical analysis to get to 4, but what is the reaction when people are reaching out after the 4 days versus not? Like, why do they find it helpful then?
Right. What I found, what they found, the data team has found, was that the outreach has been more rich. So it's not like, hey, I noticed you signed up, to, hey, I noticed you were able to successfully launch a product experience or a product tour. Is there anything I can help you out with more? So the question now is, hey, can I interrupt you in the middle of your trial? To now, essentially within 4 days, they've done, they've hopefully installed, done some critical product actions, like installing our Appcues builder and start creating like product tours, and started playing around with the tool. And maybe they potentially started inviting at that point their colleagues to help set it up for them, and at that point they're now starting to kind of bought in on their own before the sales team reach out. I think that's what we're seeing, that the outreach is more, I call it rich, or more contextual. It's probably a better term. That it's like, congrats, you've done X. Now, how can I help you? Versus, oh, we noticed you signed up. Do you want to jump on a call? Which is like, there's no value to be added there if you sign up for a free account, unless you get stuck. I think that's the other thing we found, is when people are stuck, that they would actually reply back. So the reply rate usually doubles or triples 2 moments in the experience, when there's a celebration to happen, or when there's something they're upset about or something they're stuck with. So I think trying to identify those joy points and upset points in the journey is critical for the sales team to add value to the experience.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
Welcome. Is there another question from?
You're muted, Breezy.
Well,
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute Liza.
Okay, I was like, I think you're gonna call on me, but I was gonna wait. Cool.
Classic.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
You kind of just touched on this, but if you could just talk a little bit more about it. It sounds like you kind of started with just like a time-based thing. So like 4 days sales would reach out. We were looking at maybe just like trying to figure out usage patterns, be like, okay, did they, add a user, did they do this in trial, then we push them to sales? But I think it would be easier from like getting it started to just like assume days. So I'm kind of curious, like
right.
how you started, and like if you're thinking about usage or.
Yeah, we're thinking a lot about usage. The thing is, like, we're still figuring out how to pass all the product usage and engagement data to the sales team so that it triggers.
Yeah.
Funnily, we recently moved from HubSpot sales to Salesforce, I think a few months ago. So now we're thinking about like, how do we send that engagement data? So you're right, it's not necessarily like just 4 days and reach out. It's more so they've done something important, and then that's when it's perfect time to send a message to congratulate them. It's like, oh, congrats, congrats, Lisa, you did this in the app. I noticed you did this in the app. How can I help you? Rather than waiting that extra 2 days after you've already done that. So that is something that is definitely the next step we have. You know, the challenge is like connecting all the data pieces together into a CRM and making sure that the sales team is equipped with that data, that product usage data to make sure that they're equipped and have a contextual outreach.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. And I like that you started with just an easier implementation that would still make an impact. And then hopefully we all get correlated and we solve this problem.
Definitely a plug for something like
Like,
that.
I wish that there was a tool that could. I'm just kidding. I just couldn't help myself. All right, Griffin, as the most successful CTA, was anything I can help with, or was that just an example? I think that was just an example, Griffin, but I'll let Ramli talk there.
Yeah, it was definitely an example. I think it's understanding it's more so the shift from how can I get this person on a call to more so how can I add value to this journey, or how can I help this person be more successful. Usually the next thing that they ask for is like, how do I get this installed? How do I get this my team bought in to getting this? And I think that's usually like figuring out what is that next step. Instead of saying anything I can help you with, it's like, oh, you know, how can I help you onboard more users or something that they actually really, really want with the product.
Awesome. I see a good one from Camilla here, and I think it would be helpful to have some background if you don't mind coming off mute to ask.
Yeah, no problem. So our product, we've identified about 15 unique different features that a user could utilize. And we ran an analysis where like 6 seems to be the sweet spot. If those who adopt and use at least 6 features have significantly better results, they stay with us longer, they're happier with us. XYZ makes sense. Like they're using the product, they're happy, it's great. And so what we're doing now is I use Appcues for onboarding flows and things like that. But I think it's kind of going past the initial setup and time to value of like reaching your aha moments, and then the introduction of new features and learnings, but trying to balance that. Like, I want to bombard you and be like, we have this great feature and this great feature. And next thing you know, every time you log into the app, it's like feature galore, but also getting them to reach adoption of those features in a timely manner so we can make sure we like reach those benefits with them.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is like there's 6 different features, and is that what's happening right now? It's like, oh, here are the top 6 features that you should take a look at, or is that like...
we have the 6. We broke it down by like, of the people who have adopted 1 feature, 2 features, 3 features, what are those that they're adopting? So we know like, okay, it makes sense to push this to them. It's a little bit of a dance though of which one to push when, or maybe not. If you've adopted 0 and you need all 6, it's a lot to kind of work you up towards.
Yeah, I would think about it like a video game where you want to, I guess, start off with something easy first, figuring exactly which one they need to get to experience first. And that would be the main focus of all the experience. I would also think about like segmenting that to make sure like, oh, that's something that actually we're working on at Appcues, where, you know, if you're a product marketer, you probably don't care about product tours as much as probably like, you know, modals to announce a feature. But if you're a product manager, you probably care more first about product tours, especially if your goal is to onboard or hotspots. Or if you're a customer marketer, you probably care more about the in-app messaging. So like creating that journey where like, here's the first thing that you should think about because you are with this, and then making sure that that even the first checklist and breaking that down. So like, that's one of the things that we've done. Actually, we've broken down our checklist from, it used to be 4 things in our checklist, and then we broke that down to 2 different checklists now, where the first one is just, hey, make sure to install our Appcues builder so you can start designing experiences. And then the second one is like, oh, you've installed it. You know, why don't you think about setting up goals and inviting your team and things like that? We found that the completion rate for that actually went from 2% with the longer list to around 30% completion rate, just because we broke it up to those 2 things. I actually wrote a whole blog post about this experience that I just dropped in the chat about how we broke down our checklist into two different things where I'm thinking about it like a video game where there's like level 1, what is the easy mode? Okay, you pass easy mode. Level 2, you get to the intermediate mode. Like, what is that intermediate things that you need to do? Then level 3, now you're in the boss mode where here are the more advanced features that will take more commitment, because since you've already committed first 2 levels, then you're more likely to finish level 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Awesome. One thing that I think could be interesting to get into here at Ramli is we have been talking about this product usage to reach out to the individual users. So sort of the idea of product qualified leads. But what about sort of taking multiple leads or multiple users who are working at the same company? So thinking about it as far as product qualified accounts.
Yeah, actually, this talk was inspired by something that Cal Poye from OpenView recently shared on LinkedIn. If you don't already follow him, I'm sure everybody here follows him, but if you don't, go check him out on LinkedIn. But he said that one of the learnings he had this year was, it's not PQL is not what we should be pursuing. It's around product qualified accounts, especially for B2, a lot of B2B products where it's a multiplayer product where you get more value if everybody is there. That is something definitely where we've been thinking a lot about at Appcues, where originally the sales team were qualifying by lead. And if you're, like said, if you sign up from the same company and you're, let's say, a developer, they would get a lower score than if they sign up as a product manager. But somebody from our team, from our marketing team was like, what, wait 1 second, like if he's a developer but another product manager and customer marketer sign up from the same company, isn't that developer like adding value to that experience, to that account? Actually, it's signifying that that account is probably more likely to they're already further along the journey and they're more likely to convert just because they've invited the developer to start figuring out how to install the tool, install Appcues to their tool. So that's something that we're still figuring out how to score. I think we've been using MadKudo to score our leads, so that now it's trying to connect the different accounts, the different signups together from the same company, and kind of introducing that into our lead scoring. So it's not just a lead score, it's now an account score that somebody can think a lot about as well.
Awesome. I see a question here from Nate.
Yeah, what's good? So we have a specific kind of, unique model, and we're kind of community based, being an open source product and then also having some commercial products. And so we have and this has just kind of been my experience across, multiple different companies. There's just like a mess of data, different data silos. So what best practices or tools do you use to kind of clean it up, or instill proper data hygiene and CRM, or just making sure you're enriching those metrics so you're actually getting some insight there? So any suggestions there would be great.
Yeah, I forgot. Shoot, that is not my wheelhouse as much. I forgot what tool we're using to enrich our Clearbit. There you go. We use Clearbit to enrich our database on the email. That is something that we've been using. I can't speak much about how good it is. That I can ask our marketing ops guy Jared around how he's been liking Clearbit, but that's what we've been using for but that in terms of hygiene. I think one of the challenges that some companies that that heard with, especially with free accounts, is they get a lot of at Gmail or like those spam emails. Like, oh my goodness, is absolutely crazy. I've heard tools around like how to introduce like reCAPTCHA, like automated reCAPTCHA, to help with that. Another tool another process that I've seen, sign up with your email and then like you get a wall that says go to your email address and confirm your email address. And a lot of companies use that because it's super simple. and you get confirmation with it for sure. But it induces a lot of friction because you hit that brick wall. Another approach that I've seen that is less intrusive is how Monday.com does it. Or if you sign up for Monday.com, when I sign up for a free account, I usually put in a fake email. So I'm sorry to anybody who I've signed up accounts to. I usually just put a bunch of letters and then at gmail.com. Anyways, I did this for Monday.com because I wanted to check out their onboarding experience. I got in, I started playing around, and then about like let's say 30 seconds or a minute or something like that, there's a bar that popped up at the top. It says, "Hey Ramli, we know that we couldn't reach your email address. Please confirm if it's the right address. If it's not, then please update it." Something like that, where it was a gentle nudge. And I think another way that they could have done it, I've seen this also done by sparktoro.com, where more advanced features you can't actually access unless you verify your email. So they get you inside, they allow you to start using it. But let's say you wanted to check out which podcasts your audience has been in at sparktoro.com. There's a message that says, "Hey, please verify email to view which podcasts your audience has been on." So I think that's another approach where you kind of get them in at least, but maybe gate some features. I don't know if they have any data to prove that works better, or Monday.com proves that their approach is better, but it really depends on how you want to let people in your product or not.
No, I mean, that's good. It's just like, it seems there's this tension between creating too much friction where they just say, "Oh, screw it, I'm not even going to go, fill it out," versus, it being too easy and, like you said, putting in a fake email or just some words, which we've seen. So, thanks. Good ideas.
Now it's making me think though that maybe these fake emails, like it's Ramli at the other end of the fake email. So like, well, you're just using it for research on onboarding, but there might be other people.
It's true.
Some real ones out there evaluating a product in this, disguised way, which is sort of interesting. But nonetheless, ruining all of your
the metrics.
We're trying.
Overinflating the signups. Why is our conversion rate so bad? It's because I signed up 100 times for your products that day.
Yeah.
Freaking.
I was advising a company recently, and they were like, "It's driving us crazy." I was like, "I know, it's sort of just part of it. Like you can try and get a little bit of the riffraff out, but it's kind of just part of how it goes." So, okay, cool. I know we just have 3 minutes here. Are there any sort of, I see a couple things in the chat, but I think it's just chatter. If there's any quick questions to talking about these kind of clear bits, 6 cents, things like that. One quick note, because product led ends up with a lot of personal emails. No, none of these companies are amazing with personal emails. To be honest, it's sort of just a problem in the market. Everyone's better with business emails, and data quality ranges a little across all these companies, but just for what it's worth, it's always difficult for every company. I've yet to find a company who says that personal emails is not an issue for them on identifying who those people are. So if you're feeling that
Same
pain,
here.
you're definitely not alone. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, Ramli, thank you so much. There was a ton of questions. Hopefully everyone got those
Thank you.
answered. But if not, I know you're very friendly and open to LinkedIn connects and questions and things there probably. So, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.